And a very happy Friday to you at 12:08 in the West. Talk Radio 790 KABC, the John Phillips Show. Mr. Randy Wangs in Culver City.
It happened, Johnny. This morning, the feds announced a grand jury indictment of former Oakland Mayor Sheng Thao.
Absolutely.
Oh, yes. And we all get to get ready for her one-woman performance of 12 Angry Men.
Sheng has turned herself into the courthouse. Would you like to hear what exactly is going on and what she allegedly did with the Duong family?
Let's hear it.
We want to get to some breaking news happening right now.
This is on KPX this morning.
We want to get to some breaking news happening right now. Federal officials are holding a news conference.
Do you know, by the way, how big of a deal this is for them to cut into the prices right?
That's a huge deal.
Holding a news conference at the federal building in San Francisco.
You know what it could have been?
What's that?
A hole-in-one or two.
They're expected to discuss the reported criminal indictment of former Oakland Mayor Sheng Thao. We're just learning this, that she has just turned herself in. So let's listen in.
And they had a camera following her the whole way as she's walking up to the courthouse. She didn't say anything, but she was smiling.
I didn't see the video of her. I did see Duong waiting in line.
As Sheng Thao's longtime romantic partner, and two local businessmen, David Trung Duong and his son, Andy Hung Duong.
Oh, no.
Whoa.
Okay, John, don't even address it.
We'll just call him Andy from now on. How's that?
That would be great. Let's not even address the middle name of this guy.
My middle name's Andrew.
Who was also David Duong's business associate. The indictment returned by the grand jury describes a corrupt scheme in which the defendants used bribes, mail fraud, wire fraud, and other illegal practices to manipulate and corruptly influence the levers of local government.
That's a whole lot of law breaking.
Okay, so what they're alleging is that she is taking direct bribes to benefit the Duong family.
Originally, we thought that this was just a campaign scheme where the Duong family was spending money on things that they weren't supposed to. But it turns out they were doing that, and Sheng and the boyfriend were getting direct cash payments to the tune of about $95,000.
So it's a combo platter, all of the above. That's the allegation.
Well, and there's tax fraud involved, too, because the Dongs paid Sheng and the boyfriend through a non-existent fake employee at their company.
Why would you not pay taxes on it?
Before I describe the details of the indictment, I want to emphasize one thing. What I'm about to describe are just allegations.
Yeah, we know, but you wouldn't be doing this unless you had a whole lot of proof.
Did he wink at the camera?
Every defendant is entitled to the presumption of innocence.
And he said it with a straight face. This guy's a pro.
Is presumed innocent unless and until his or her guilt is established beyond a reasonable doubt. The indictment charges a scheme that the defendants entered into knowing that bribes would be offered and accepted by Thao and Jones in exchange for allowing the Duongs to exercise illegal influence over the levers of city government.
I mean, this kind of crap happens all the time, but this was very, very, very blatant.
Yes, and if you're that blatant and you have a falling out with someone like she did with her chief of staff, guess what? They spill the beans.
The indictment alleges that the illegal conspiracy began around October 22, before the November 2022 Oakland mayoral election. Weeks before that election, Thao made commitments to take official actions as mayor that would benefit the Duongs.
So they profited greatly from their investment.
Oh, yes. They're the ones that have the contract with the city for trash pickup. And remember, there were allegations that they were overbilling Oakland residents, and the city of Oakland looked the other way.
Well, and you got to remember, too, Sheng is only the latest playmate with the Duong family. They have been power players in the East Bay for a very long time, and for many, many, many years, they spent most of their money on Rob Bonta.
Oh, yeah. You look at the pictures. There's Rob Bonta with one of the Dongs at a Golden State Warriors game. Oh, look, there's Rob Bonta with one of the Dongs on an airplane. Gavin Newsom with one of the Dongs. They're with all of these bold-faced names all over the place because they're throwing around a ton of cash.
Examples of promises allegedly made by Thao include her agreement to purchase housing units from a company owned by the Duong family.
Oh, boy. We're going straight at it.
Okay. Think about what they're alleging here and think about all of these crooked homeless organizations we deal with down here where deals like that take place all the time. Because when we're procuring quote-unquote housing, you have to rent it or buy it from someone, don't you?
And if you happen to have a bunch of money available to buy something like that, why not move that money towards one of your friends' companies, especially if they helped you get elected? This is how business is done in California.
What it is one great big laundering scheme.
Her agreement to ensure the extension of a contract for recycling services that the city of Oakland had with one of David and Andy Duong's companies.
You got to look at these recycling companies. There's something going on.
There's just something about that industry. Have you noticed that?
Well, not
It's
only
like the tow trucks.
do we have the corrupt deal here and they were overcharging customers, but look what's been going on statewide with all the recycling companies that seem to not know or not care where all the copper comes from that gets dropped off at their smelting facilities.
They wouldn't be stealing the copper wire if you didn't have facilities that were buying it from them.
And then those recyclers, you know what they do? They sell the stolen copper back to the city.
That's when they turn the lights back on until they steal it again.
And her agreement to use influence to help appoint a high-level city official to benefit the Duong's business interests.
And remember what was told to us by the former chief of staff of the campaign, that at Sheng's inauguration party, the boyfriend, Andre Jones, was walking around to all the donors very loudly asking, what job do you want? What appointment do you need?
That was the same day that he and Sheng got into it, and he ripped the living hell out of her in front of all of her employees and made her cry.
Do you remember why she got so pissed?
Why was that?
Because he brought his ex-girlfriend to her party.
Oh, that's a big no-no.
I have a feeling the more we learn about this, the more she's more of a patsy in all this, and he's the one who's been running this whole scheme. But that is a messed up relationship.
No kidding.
In exchange, the Duongs allegedly provided payments to Thao and Jones in various forms, including the financing of a negative mailer campaign targeting Tao's political rivals.
That's the one that went after Lauren Taylor, who's now running to replace her in the recall election. And that was the scheme, if you remember, where they paid this printing company to come out with all these racist flyers, and then they stiffed the printing company.
And that guy still hasn't gotten his money.
And providing Jones and Thao with $95,000 in direct payments.
See, this is the thing we didn't know before. We didn't know that they got directly bribed.
For phantom no-show jobs, correct?
And providing Jones and Thao with $95,000 in direct payments disguised as wages for a no-show job. For Jones, with the promise of additional payments, all intended to...
So they hired Andre Jones as a fake employee at the Duong Company.
I wonder what his fake job was at the Duong Company. Maybe he was the public health director of Calway Solutions.
And if he was the recipient of that $95,000, did he share that with Sheng? Is it possible that Sheng didn't even know about this and this was a side deal?
How great would he be if he used the $95,000 that he got through Sheng's position to wine and dine the girlfriend? Well, every time he took Sheng out for dinner, they ordered it while sitting in their car through a clown's nose.
For Jones, with the promise of additional payments, all intended to benefit both Thao and Jones.
And remember how many times throughout the last year Sheng was asked what her boyfriend's role is in her administration? And she says, nothing. He has no part in any of it.
Well, it seems to me like he's kind of a jack of all trades.
And this, again, is not new. Spouses of highly level electeds, sometimes they're running the whole show. Look at Eric Garcetti. His wife was the power player, and you didn't know anything about her. He was the shiny face, but she was the one pulling the strings.
And sometimes it's not the spouse. Sometimes it's one of the kids. Like you had Joe Manchin, the senator from West Virginia. Wasn't his daughter a big-time pharmaceutical lobbyist?
There's so much corruption out there.
Our communities depend on local government for critical services. The public needs to know it can trust those in charge of City Hall to work for the best interests of the people of Oakland. This public trust is broken when elected officials agree to a pay-to-play system to benefit themselves. This indictment reaffirms the commitment of this office to root out, investigate, and prosecute corruption in our local governments.
And apparently the same day that they announced that there was this indictment, there's now a new raid of a San Leandro city councilman who's also connected to this family.
Now, I wonder, when they raided Sheng's house, and she said she was naked, correct?
She claimed in many interviews leading up to the recall that she got woken up at 6 o'clock in the morning by the FBI pounding on her door. She needed to get dressed, but the FBI wouldn't leave the room because they wanted to make sure she wasn't trying to sneak out anything in the bra or panties.
Okay, now I have a theory I want to run by you real fast.
Is it safe for air?
Yes. If you're the FBI agent and you're raiding Sheng's house and you believe that there is illegal activity going on, and while you're raiding the house, you think that Sheng looks particularly busty that morning, and you have all the receipts on how they're spending that $95,000, and there's no receipt for breast implants, and you say to yourself, I wonder if she's padding her bra with paychecks for the phantom job. So let's see what we got in here. Take it off.
Poor Shangy.
The indictment was the product of a coordinated effort with our law enforcement partners, the FBI, the U.S. Postal Inspection Service, and the IRS.
Yeah, don't mess with mail fraud.
Oh, no. And the postman was there, too.
And the IRS criminal investigation.
Think of how many federal resources need to be spent to just deal with one corrupt city.
Never forget, Randy, the Postmaster General is still a general.
I want to praise the invaluable work by our law enforcement partners investigating this case. I also want to commend the prosecutors from my office who are handling the case. Assistant U.S. Attorneys Molly Priedemann, Abraham Fine, and Lloyd Farnham, with the valuable assistance of Amala James and Madeline Wachs.
How many times did Sheng say she had no idea why the FBI raided her house?
And didn't she say that they confirmed to her that she's not the target of the investigation?
And the leaders of our Oakland branch office, AUSA's Alexis James and David Ward. I am now pleased to turn the podium over to my friend and partner, FBI Acting Special Agent in charge of the San Francisco Field Office, Dan Costin.
Let's see what the FBI has to say about Shangy.
Hey, have her dead to rights.
Today's announcement stems from an ongoing multi-year investigation.
Pretty much since the day she got into office.
No, that was before she got into office, because that's when they set up, allegedly, the crooked deal for the mailer.
Well, and it's when they started making all those crooked appointments that the chief of staff quit, and that's when she started thinking to the feds.
And by the way, not that this means anything when you're dealing with wire fraud and mail fraud, but if you have someone purchase a mailer for you off the books, that violates all kinds of campaign laws.
Into public corruption initiated by information shared with the FBI from the Oakland's Ethics Commission. The effort dedicated to this investigation underscores our unwavering commitment to hold accountable those who violate the public trust. The indictment unsealed today highlights alleged corrupt actions involving...
Now, you got to remember, the Duong family had an existing contract with the city of Oakland, so who's to say they didn't also give money to Libby Schaff to do the same thing?
It's possible, and typically, when you're dealing with these sorts of contracts, if you cut the city council out, you got yourself some problems, so you have to involve them too.
The indictment unsealed today highlights alleged corrupt actions involving promises to benefit private businesses in exchange for campaign support, financial gain, and influence on city operations. This case represents a joint effort by the FBI, the U.S. Attorney's Office, the IRS Criminal Investigations Division, and the U.S. Postal Inspection Service. I want to thank our federal partners for their collaborative efforts to ensure the individuals involved in this alleged scheme are brought to justice.
Yeah.
The investigation is ongoing, but we hope bringing these charges serves to strengthen Bay Area residents' confidence in the processes by which our elected city government leaders are held accountable.
Well, by the way, who thinks that? You call 911, you press 1 for English, and then you sit on hold for 20 minutes before they cut you off. Does anyone think that they're actually getting honest government in that town?
Well, if you heard what he said, it's not that you'll have confidence in honest government. It's that you'll have confidence that the feds will hold the dishonest government accountable.
I love the fact that the only thing that offended them was that they were being cut out of the taxes.
That's how they found out about it.
We encourage
I mean, this kind of stuff goes on all over the place. And that was Sheng's best argument, is that why is she getting targeted for what everybody does?
That was what she said. I'm just doing what everyone else did, and it's my turn now.
We encourage anyone to report information that would aid the FBI's continuing work to investigate and disrupt public corruption at all levels.
Can somebody who has any idea what's going on with the nonprofit that passes out meth pipes and Barbara Ferrer find out what their secret connection is?
Well, it was like with the Sheila Kuehl thing. You heard those details, and you said to yourself, okay, why is no one going to prison over this? Because these deals are all dirty. None of them pass the smell test, but they just pick and choose. It's like calling holding in the NFL, or it's like calling a personal foul when the guys are wrestling in the paint. You can call the foul anytime you want. The refs just get to decide when they blow the whistle.
And Sheng, you picked the wrong job at the wrong time.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Stephen Sherwood. I'm the inspector in charge of the San Francisco Division of the United States Postal Inspection Service.
That's right. The post office is here, everybody, and they don't mess around.
Oh, yeah. Bed Bath & Beyond put his kids through school.
Have you ever noticed when you go to the post office, right at the front door, there's a sticker that says, warning, just so you know, armed robbery of a post office is a federal felony punishable by up to 20 years?
Especially, I think they put lights around it when George Gascon was the local DA.
The indicted individuals are accused of carrying out a series of fraud schemes using the U.S. mail that targeted government agencies, businesses, and the public.
That's why you got to spend a little extra and go for FedEx.
Had she ponied up that money, those charges wouldn't be on the list.
These schemes erode both public trust in the Postal Service and the integrity of government institutions. Postal inspectors will continue to pursue all those who exploit the U.S. Postal Service and defraud the American people.
Did Sheng even use a stamp?
I think she is so dumb, she got a book of stamps that have the adhesive on it, and she still licked it.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I want to express my sincere gratitude to our law enforcement partners.
Okay, is this just all thanking each other now?
Well, there was still another one that lit into her.
Strong and continued.
Yeah, let's listen to the IRS lady.
Good morning. My name is Linda Nguyen. I'm the special agent in charge of IRS criminal investigation in the Oakland field office. Before I get started, I wanted to thank First Assistant U.S. Attorney Robbins.
Yeah. We all doing a great job.
The alleged activities of the accused have led to a growing sense of distrust amongst taxpayers and elected officials.
You don't say.
As alleged, David and Andy Duong used bribes to...
Wait, how does she pronounce it?
Yoon.
Duong.
As alleged, David and Andy Duong used bribes to further the profitability of their business interest and to obtain undue influence over the appointment of high-level Oakland City officials.
Anytime you see these boards, these commissions, the people that are appointed to them, they're connected. And sometimes they're connected because of dirty reasons like this.
As stated in the indictment, former Oakland Mayor Sheng Thao and longtime companion Andre Jones accepted those bribes and sought to live up to those.
Kind of pissed is Sheng that he never put a ring on it.
Yeah, they were always living in sin.
And then he's bringing the other girlfriend to the party. There's something going on with that relationship.
He is quite a tomcat.
Accepted those bribes and sought to live up to their end of the scheme. Sheng Thao committed to extend the contract of the recycling company and buying housing units from business owned by the Duongs. Well,
I guess that's how you pronounce it.
Everyone who pronounces their name pronounces it differently.
Well, and the first time we heard it, and sometimes, you go with the first time you hear something. The first time we heard it, they said Duong family.
Well, Andre Jones received these payments.
Okay, here's my speculation. Did Sheng even know about this bribe? Did Sheng do everything the boyfriend told her, including, hey, these are our friends, make sure to renew that contract? Because the bribes went straight to Jones. He's the one that's the fake employee at the company. Is it possible that she didn't know about the 95 grand and he was scamming her too?
Well, I could tell you this. I don't know anything about their relationship, what goes on behind closed doors. I guess I have some ideas, but I don't know it for sure. I haven't seen it with my own two eyes. But I have covered politics in the state for a very long time, and I can make the following statement without hesitation. She is the dumbest person I have ever covered in elected office in the state of California.
Oakland Bees!
And when I say dumb, I mean this woman could hide her own Easter eggs.
That,
For them to come out and say that she's this brilliant, genius, criminal mastermind is not the proper framing. Everything that we know about her is the exact opposite. This woman has a room temperature IQ. You think for 1 second she's capable of coming up with a plot like this?
That's what a mayor do.
Oh, yes, we know. No, what I think is going on here is I think that she is the abused spouse of someone who does understand city government, who does understand how to make it rain, and to abuse the power of the mayor's office to enrich yourself. I think the boyfriend is the one who's calling the shots, and I think she is so dumb, she may not even know that she was doing all kinds of illegal things.
Absolutely.
And I think there's a certain element of reverse racism that's going on here. And I don't use that term all the time, but I do think that it might be applicable here because we now live in a world where everyone's obsessed with race and there's a racial angle to everything. But frequently people don't even know when they're racist themselves, or they're, I guess I shouldn't say that, but they are using racial stereotypes to influence their behavior. I'm sure the people who are charging her with a crime and her associates with a crime would regard themselves as being anti-racist. But to portray her as someone who's a highly intelligent criminal? No. No, there is no evidence that shows that to be true. What I think they're doing is I think they know less about her than this audience does. They're not familiar with her portfolio, as they say. And they see someone who's a mayor, high-powered position, and they see someone who's Asian, and they assume that she's smarter than she is because she's Asian. It's like what happened with Shohei Ohtani. Everyone assumed that the guy was smart and that there's no way his interpreter could steal all of that money from him directly from his bank account, and he wouldn't know. How would you not know if millions of dollars is just disappearing on a regular basis? And everyone thought, oh, this guy's smart. He had to be in on it too. He had to be gambling along with the interpreter. And no, as it turns out, he's just a dumb jock who was totally oblivious. I think that the feds think that Sheng is smarter than she is because she's Asian.
The bureaucracy is real.
Here's what we need to do. Before these people turn this case over to prosecutors and they put together a case, if they're planning on framing this as she's a genius and she took that city for a bunch of money, they need to come down and do a little crash course with us. And we need to go through all the drops and all the past podcasts, and we need to get them up to speed. because there is no way a jury of 12 people is ever going to buy that.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
You put her in the room, and she's showing off how she's can bend her fingers back in certain ways. And she's playing Candy Crush on her phone upside down. And a phone rings, and she picks up a shoe and says, hello. And you think a jury is going to believe that she's a genius?
A couple of fun facts is that I am double jointed in my finger, and I thought for a while that everybody could do this. Turns out not everybody could do this.
Randy, if they do that, she's going to get off.
That's right. I like that. That was amazing.
If you'd like to email the show, you can do so at johnnydon'tlikeshow@gmail.com. That's johnnydon'tlikeshow@gmail.com. And Randy, I can only imagine what's in the mailbag.
Well, there's a few of them that I can't read on the air, but I can read this one from Jane. Absolutely, absolutely. This is the first time I've been able to listen to the radio in a while. Thank you. I laughed from the first minute. You guys are in fine form. Next time you play the feds reading the allegation, let's hear.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
After reading each one, it makes me laugh.
And Randy, if you were to go back and listen to the podcast of the day that her home was raided, you can do that quite easily.
I'm still pissed about that because I was on vacation.
Oakland Bees!
But go to KABC.com, click on podcasts, go to the Apple Podcast app, iHeart, Spotify, search for The John Phillips Show, hit subscribe. You can download all the episodes. Do a Google on the YouTube or get that handy-dandy KABC app. Search KABC AM in the Apple App Store or the Android Store. It's the easiest way to listen live to this radio station and download all the podcasts.
And that's the truth.
Now, John, you and I are both people that very much enjoy our vacations, right?
Oh, yeah.
I think there were 2 days last year, one of them where I regretted being on vacation and one where you regretted being on vacation. For me, it was being in Santa Fe on vacation drinking margaritas when you started texting me that Sheng Thao got her home raided by the FBI. And for you, you were probably at a slot machine on a cruise ship somewhere when OJ died.
All right, here's our question for you at 800-222-5222. 1-800-222-5222. Do you think Sheng Thao is smart enough to do what the government alleged? Or do you think that Tina's just going along with whatever Ike says? 800-222... Maybe that wasn't the classiest way of asking the question, but it's what we got.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
800-222-5222. 1-800-222-5222. The Fix California Hour coming up after the news at 1. Well, the indictment against former Oakland Mayor Sheng Thao has been released by the feds. They say she's been committing wire fraud, mail fraud, and breaking other laws in a corrupt pay-to-play system that benefited her and her boyfriend financially at the expense of the people and taxpayers of Oakland. They portray her as a brilliant criminal mastermind. Do you think she's capable of that? Or do you think it's the boyfriend and she's just along for the ride, knowingly or unknowingly? 800-222-5222. 1-800-222-5222. Let's go to John in L.A. John, hello.
Hey, guys. It's definitely the boyfriend. She's not the sharpest tool in the shed. And I agree with you earlier that the proof is in the pudding. You know, she got caught. If she was really that smart, she wouldn't have gotten caught. Did you guys see the footage of her attorney and her standing outside the federal courthouse talking? And then this guy comes up next to them, and I thought he was actually part of their entourage. He holds up a sign with her picture on it, and then it reads, incompetent and dishonest. And she didn't even bat an eyelash to look at who was holding it.
Oh, she's in for quite a situation. I wonder if she initially thought that was a supporter who was there to stand by her.
She may have.
That's what a mayor do.
Oh, Shangy, it's going to be an interesting year.
Now, what's interesting is that when she was mayor, even when we knew that she was who she is, people in Oakland, many people in Oakland, many powerful people in Oakland stood behind her because they needed to negotiate with her for union contracts or for contracts with a private vendor for the city. Whatever the case may be, people needed things from her. She was the mayor. So people, even those who knew what they were dealing with, bit their tongue because the business of business is to do business. Now that she's no longer the mayor, everyone's free to talk. You don't have to be afraid of her. There's nothing that she can do that can punish you. You pretty much have a free play. And I can only imagine what people are going to say without the fear of consequences.
Don't waste our time. We have a whole city to run.
Not anymore, baby.
If you'd like to email the show, you can do so at johnnydon'tlikeshow@gmail.com. That's johnnydon'tlikeshow@gmail.com. And Randy, you're monitoring the mailbag.
Nicholas writes in at johnnydon'tlikeshow@gmail.com and says Sheng Tao's best bet is to say the boyfriend made her do it. Otherwise, I can't read the rest of the email. It involves her special talent.
That's going to be the way it's going to be for a while.
That's right. I like that. That was amazing.
Whenever we do a Sheng Thao story that dominates the news, or a Katie Porter story that dominates the news, or a Barbara Ferrer story that dominates the news, the email box is, shall we say, rated R.
Little D.
Let's go to John in Ventura. John, hello.
Hi, John. I'm retired law enforcement. I'd just like to point out that the jails and the prisons are full of women and sometimes guys that go along with their friends or their boyfriend or their husband and commit crimes, even though they should have known better. And sometimes they're smart enough, sometimes they aren't. But most of the time, or at least half the time, when they get out of prison, they'll end up going right back to the same guy, even though he got him in prison. And I would just like to add that the only way this story could get any better if instead of Jones, the other guy had the last name of Johnson.
Thank you for the call, sir.
Now, do you think Sheng, if everything goes as the feds are saying and she either pleads guilty or gets convicted and she's in prison, she going to get some pen pals?
Oh, I'm sure. Oh, can you imagine?
You imagine some desperate Bay Area guys who see her on TV, feel sorry for her, start writing to her, and then see if they can open up the conjugal visit trailer? Because I guarantee the boyfriend's getting out of Dodge.
Every single guy who's going to write her in prison, who in their mind is going to end up marrying her, is going to look like Christopher Lloyd from Back to the Future. And how much do you want to bet she has a conversion and becomes ultra MAGA, hoping that Donald Trump will give her a pardon?
I can get that.
It's a federal crime, so she will be going to federal prison. So she might want to go do what Eric Adams is doing right now and go kiss the ring.
Here's what I think the arc is going to be. I think at first she's going to be clueless and deny everything. And then some attorney is going to talk her into saying that she's an abused spouse and that the boyfriend was the mastermind and forced her to go along with it. And she really didn't know what he was up to because he only gave her information on a need-to-know basis. And then she's going to get convicted. And then after she gets convicted, she's suddenly going to start wearing the red hat. And she's going to be tweeting things out on Truth Social that are favorable to President Trump. And she's going to try to get a pardon. That's what I think is going to happen. Because with Grampy Joe, she's got, 2 days left?
Mm-hmm.
It's noon on Monday. That's when Trump takes over. So unless he does a preemptive pardon for her, there's no way he can do it because a trial takes a long time. It'll probably be a couple of years from now before she's convicted. So it'll be on Trump's watch. It's going to be Trump that she's going to have to appeal to. Now, she can go all in with the MAGA agenda, or she can go down a different road. Maybe she sends him videos where she shows a little leg. I don't know.
Well, you know, Trump really is into deal making. That is his big thing. He's a big negotiator. Maybe she can send him a letter talking about what a great deal she made selling that Coliseum.
Like, don't waste our time. We have a whole city to run.
Whatever she does to appeal to him, it's going to be 100 times more ridiculous than anything you're thinking. It is going to be so over the top that every morning zoo in America is going to do a segment on it. Binky and Boner and Wake Up Tupelo are going to turn it into their A block. That I can promise you. And Randy, we're seeing a lot of activity in the mailbag.
And I can't read any of them. They're hilarious, but there are things that if I said on the air, I would get in a lot of trouble for, and I don't really feel like spending most of my weekend in meetings.
Yeah, I don't think you'd have to take one of those classes. I think you'd need a master's degree in it. What are you going to do? All right, we've got 2 more hours coming up on the John Phillips Show. The Fix California Hour is next. Don't you go anywhere. This is Talk Radio 790 KABC.